Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Learn to Draw with LTP Alters. I'm Chloe and this week we're going to be drawing Eevee. For this video you're going to need a pencil, a pen, make sure it doesn't smudge, remember from last week, an eraser, maybe a pencil sharpener if your pencil gets blunt. And then if you stick around at the end and you want to, we're going to colour in Eevee, so just a set of colouring pencils or felt tips, whatever you want to do it with. So looking at Eevee, it's made up of certain shapes, and we talked about shapes last week, so please go and review that if you want to. But the main shapes that we use are circles, ovals, and triangles for things like ears and stuff like that. And Pokemon are made up of all different shapes. So Eevee is going to be mainly circles and triangles. So we'll do our initial sketch. Remember, this bit needs to be nice and light. So Eevee's head is kind of like a squarey circle. I don't know how to put that, but so just nice and light. So it's kind of like a rounded square, if that makes sense. You don't want to draw like a full circle because Eevee has kind of like a square face. And we'll just leave it at that for now for the shape of the actual face. And for the ears, it's going to be kind of like a diamond. Triangular shape. So this is just two triangles, you see, one there, one there. And then the same on the other side. And you can draw this symmetrically if you want to, or you can have one of the ears pointing in a different direction, which is often the case with Eevee. Next we have this kind of mane that Eevee's got. And if you just treat this for now as one kind of big oval, just come out the way like this, and we can neaten it up later, so don't worry too much if it looks like a donut for now. And then the legs come down. Again, it's like two oblongs. And this is Eevee sitting down, so it's a little bit easier to draw. And we're just sketching this in nice and lightly, and then we'll go over it with the detail afterwards. Similar to how we do in the other videos. Finally, the tail then. The tail is kind of like one big curve that goes up and down. It's got kind of a little cut into it where the fur sticks up here. So we come out from the mane, up, then one big swooshing line all the way down, so it's like rounds itself out. And you can put it on either side, it doesn't really matter. You can make your Eevee as personable as you like. Okay, so now we've got the basic shape. So we've got kind of a square, a rounded square for the head, a couple of diamonds for the ears, which are basically just two triangles, an oval for the mane, and some oblongs for the legs, and then the tails in there as well. Next up, we're going to start adding a little bit more detail. So Eevee needs some eyes for a start, so we should probably draw them in, and these are ovals rather than circles. So just if you need to draw guidelines in, you can just draw a really faint line down the centre of the face to make sure that your eyes are even. And then about a third of the way down is where you want the kind of centre of your eye to be, just to help you if you're not too sure. And then you want to just sketch your eyes in. So they are ovals and they're quite big. Eevee's got quite big eyes. Not as big as Jigglypuff, but pretty big. And then there's another circle just inside there. And then the bottom of the eyes, there's a brown bit, so you need to come up and do like a kind of U shape at the bottom of each bit. So this will be black, this will be white, and this will be brown. The nose would be in the centre, it's just a little triangle. And then the mouth is a line, but it kind of curves in and up in the middle and then back out again. So you want to come in, up, and then back out. And obviously we've got a happy, smiley Eevee here. We wouldn't want a sad Eevee on this show. Now we've got the detail of the face in, we can add the little eyebrows, and we can start adding some of the fur in. So the face itself, like I said, is quite square. So our neat line, we want to come about halfway down the ear here and just draw the line in, following the shape of the face round. And the same on the other side. Try and keep it symmetrical if you can. Take your time with this bit. And then we'll just join these two at the bottom. It's quite a square face there. We've got some fur at the top, so we'll do that before we do the ears. Then we'll leave a little bit of a gap here, and then we're going to start drawing in some fur. And they're just little triangles basically. So we draw a line, and then it comes over to the top of the head. And then the line, and then over to the top of the head. And then just do that all the way along until you get to the end of the other ear. You see now we've given Eevee kind of a little haircut going on. The ears themselves then, I'm going to come up and just follow the shape round. Try and make it nice and neat and just round off the tips of the ears a little bit so it's not as pointy. Just take your time, follow it round until you get back to the start. Do that on both sides. The insides of the ears also have some fur in, so we need to do another couple of these mini triangles at the bottom of each ear. I'm just going to come in a little bit from the edge of the ear there. I'm just going to draw a couple of little triangles like that on each one. So make sure you just leave a gap. And that's the bottom of the ear. And then all we're going to do is follow this all the way up and round, keeping the same distance as we go around the ear, all the way around on both sides. Try and make it as neat as you can. Eevee's ears are actually two different colours, so you've got black at the bottom here and then brown, with like a dark brown at the top. And the way it does this is another lot of little triangles, so you just want to come up and down, all the way across, about halfway up the ear on the inside. Doesn't matter if it's a bit messy, just make a pattern. And now we've done the head. The next bit we're going to focus on is the mane, because it comes over the top of the legs and the tail, so we might as well do that first because it's on top, it's the top layer. At the minute we've got this donut shape, what we're going to do is make it more of like a curvy, furry shape, so the point will end up here, so it kind of comes down and it will end up going around like that. We'll start on this side, and all we'll do is just follow the shape of the oval and then just kick it off at the end like that. And we're just going to add in, like we've done up here, little triangles, little bits of fur as we go round. And it will progressively get lower and lower as you go. And you can overlap them a little bit as well, just to add a bit more texture to it. And right in the centre, the main part of the mane kind of comes right down, just stops in the middle. So if you've put your centre line in, it's quite a good guide. If you just make one point, just kind of end a bit lower than everything else and then come back up again. And that's the kind of lowest point of the mane, and it should follow it all the way around after that. So you should end up with some kind of shape like this, where it's just loads of little triangles all the way along the bottom. Make it look like fur. We can add a little bit more detail in the middle because this wouldn't just be flat, so we need some more lines in here too. We can start adding just a few little fur lines in. You can see why Eevee's more of kind of a medium difficulty character to draw, because there's just a little bit more detail in this than there is in Pokemon like Jigglypuff. And that's the mane sorted there. Next we're going to do the legs. So these can be a bit tricky if you haven't gotten used to the shapes yet. So between the two legs here at the bottom, we're going to have like a triangle where they come down from underneath the fur. So you want to draw a line in here and a line in here. And they kind of don't fully meet at the bottom, so just leave a gap and just round it out. And the next thing I find easiest to do is put the little paws in first and then join the line back up. Otherwise you might get the feet a bit wrong in the size. And then we do just a little curve on this bit and then join that line up there. And then the same on the other side. And this is why it's important to sketch them beforehand, because it just gives you more of a guideline. And then with the rest of the leg, you're just going to come down and join those lines back up. So now you've got 2 legs coming down. We need to add the other bits of the paws in, so it's just 2 little lines on each foot. Okay, the other legs are slightly easier because Eevee's sitting down, so it's basically just 2 kind of rounded triangles that come in from each side. So just going to follow our sketch lines and just come out, then back in again on each side. And then the back feet are just tiny little circles underneath poking out from the bottom. So just draw them in. And then again, 2 lines in each one. Now we've got our legs. Last thing to put in neatly then is the tail. We'll do the fur end first, so it's just a couple of little triangles there. Then we're going to come along the top. And then this line is going to go all the way around and curve to the other leg. And this is slightly different colour, so this is a light brown and this is a cream, so we want to make sure that's separated. So we're just going to draw in a little thing to separate those out. And that is the neatened stage of Eevee done, ready for our pen. So at this stage, we're going to go around Eevee with our pen. If you want to skip this bit and colour it in as it is, you can just fast forward to the end of the video. But if you want to use the pen and go around and just neaten it up, then please follow through with this bit. So the important thing is the pen we use shouldn't smudge when we use the eraser on it later, because we're going to get rid of some of these pencil lines. If you are using the pen, just make sure that you're really neat on this bit, or as neat as you can be, because once you've put it on the page, it's really hard to correct or get hold of. So this is good practice just for making sure you're getting your shapes right. I'm just going to go around and follow all the lines that we've created so far. With the nose, just make sure it's nice and neat. That's the bit that will show up the most even when we colour it in. Again, we go back to our eyes being a kind of round shape. These are quite difficult to draw if you're not used to doing them. It's definitely something I recommend practicing for anyone who's new to drawing. Once you get comfortable doing your shapes, it's much easier then. Now we're just going to go over Eevee nice and lightly with the eraser and just get rid of those pencil lines. Again, this is why I always advise not to press down too hard with your pencil if this is what you want to do with it. You're just going to colour it in the pencil form, it's not a problem at all. Okay, at this point you can either take a picture of it and print it off so you can colour in future copies, you could scan it onto your computer, or you can just leave it in your sketchbook and colour it in or paint it or whatever you want to do. Today I've got some pencils. I got this whole set of pencils from Lidl for only £3 on sale. You can get similar ones from the Works or the Range for the same price. They're a really nice set, so you get loads of different colours. And these are watercolour as well, so I can add water to them once they're on the paper and they'll turn into watercolour pencils. So Eevee is predominantly light brown and kind of like this yellowy brown colour. We'll get the white out as well. We also need dark brown and black for the eyes and ears. With our colours we can just gently colour in if you want. You know, I tend to go nice and light with these to start with, just to get the main colours in. But if you use the edge of your pencil, then you get more kind of colour down in a quicker way. If you use the tip, it's quite a thin line. You can add a bit of shading in if you want, and normally the shade is underneath bits, so there'll probably be a bit under Eevee's chin and the bottom of the ears. And where the mane comes over the top of the legs, there'll be some shading there too. It's where the shadow will be. It's always worth picking up cheaper art supplies to start with until you figure out what you like. Nothing worse than spending a lot of money on a certain product or name and then not getting on with it. My paints, I do tend to go for certain ones, but with pencils, I found a lot of the cheaper ones are really good. So where the mane comes over, the top of these legs will just be a little bit darker, where we would expect to have shadow. And in between the legs here as well will be in shadow because it's further back. These are going to be further forward than these will be. Same with the feet, they're underneath the legs, so to make sure we're putting the right shadow in there. And the last bit of light brown really is here on the tail. And again, the bottom of the tail will be darker than the top because that's where the light's hitting. The light's going to come in from this direction. So you want to put a little bit of shadow in down here as well. Just go back over it again. The mane is kind of a creamy colour, so you can either very lightly go back over with your light brown and just make it not white on there. Literally really lightly. Unless you've got a cream colour, then you can put that in, but I think I'm just gonna... Yellow is probably a bit too bright for this, so I'm gonna add a few little lines on here just to add the texture without taking away from the main colour. Then I'm going to move on to the darker brown. So I'm going to put in the bottom of the eyes here. This is where I'm more using the point of the pencil so you can get a neater finish. And there's also dark brown at the top of the ears, in this top section that was drawn. And the final colour that we've got is black in terms of colouring in. And that's at the bottom of each ear. And then the eyes as well. Make sure you leave this bit white on the eyes. And then if you've got a white pen or pencil, you can always add a few little lighter bits in, but I've not used these before, so I don't know how well they'll do going over the top of other things. So, and now we have a coloured in Eevee. You can put it on your fridge. And send me a picture if you have done this Eevee today on my Instagram at LTPAlters. I would love to create a massive collage of everyone's pictures to share on my social media. And if you manage to do all of the episodes this year and send me pictures, then I can maybe send you a special treat at the end of the year. So thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed drawing Eevee with me today, and I'll see you next week. Hi, this is Chloe from LTPAlters. Thank you so much for watching the video. Every Sunday at 12 o'clock there will be a new Learn to Draw series video up on YouTube. If you'd like to follow my other socials, please scan the QR code at the end of the video. Thank you for all your support.